With Makoto's return to the university from the demiplane, he learns that 3 new students have decided to join up for his class, and 2 of them absolutely shock him, for it turns out they are the Rembrandt sisters, the sister Sif and Yuno. Now, these girls, they're the ones that he saved in the previous season from their father Rembrandt, and that's kind of the whole reason why he's actually in this position at the moment. Now, he explains to them like, hey, just so you know, I'm friends with your dad, but I'm still going to be a tough teacher here. And the girls are like, okay, we're all for it. And at the same time, the rest of the students are just giving the girls the side eye, because apparently they have a very rough reputation around the school, that they're a bit on the rebellious side, and they make all the students and even some of the professors have to watch what they do when they're around the sisters. But they seem to have done a complete 180 after the curse that Makoto broke for them. Now, with that said, we are introduced to the first oldest sister, Sif, and apparently she's a mage that is an expert with fire and earth magic and has a blessing of protection of spirits around her. So she kind of was just like triple blessed there with all that abilities. And then comes the following sister, who's more of a combat role, and she prefers to be in either the center of the group or in the rear guard, and her abilities are more so with the bow or lance from what we learned. So not a bad member to have in your group. And then the final person that we get to meet is a girl by Karen Frost. And apparently she's from the Royal Academy, and she's transferred over, and she's a mage as well with this special ability towards water. So we got a few mages here, and it looks like it's going to be a powerful group that's coming in to learn from Makoto. Now, seeing that these are some new students, he's going to take them aside and do the same kind of training that he did with the original students before they actually get into the real deal. Now, with that said, Makoto takes the 6 originals over to the side where he introduces them to the Blue Lizard. Now, we know this Blue Lizard from the demiplane from the previous season when he was fighting the main Orc warrior and was defeated. Now, I don't know if that's still the case. I know that he's won some fights against him since then, but I don't know who the top ranking champ is in the demiplane. They haven't told us or given us an update on who's on that ranking board at the moment. I would kind of like to see who's above there, but right now all we need to know is that this is a powerful individual, and he's telling him like, hey, just use like 20% of your power against these guys, because the last thing he wants is for him to just go straight up and kill these kids. It's supposed to be training exercise, not a life and death exercise. But he doesn't tell the kids that. He wishes them good luck and leaves with a mischievous grin as they go to their doom. I'm going to just tell you right now, they all get wiped out by him. Not killed, but they are just completely destroyed by him by the end of the day. Now, Makoto, he goes over to 3 new students, tells them how he's doing things, that as the process goes along, he's going to give them some pointers, and they're going to learn along the way. That he'll give them the first shot at him, and he'll give some pointers. If they improve, great. If not, then he's going to up it until it's a full-on brawl. And, well, we saw what happened to the last time when he did that with the other students, just complete wipeout. So that's kind of where we're moving to. With that, he starts off with Yuno, with her firing some arrows at him. Unfortunately, it's just an easy block for him. He tells her to insert some of her mana into her arrow to just give it some more power. She tries to do that, but it's still crude, it's not powerful enough, and he's able to block away and burn the arrows with his magic, having him tell her to just move on to the lance at this point. Next, he turns to this older sister, Sif, who unleashes a massive blast of flame at him, and it's quite powerful, but still doesn't really do anything to Makoto. He gives her some pointers, and then finally he moves on to Karen, who unleashes her water magic, just completely freezing the area around Makoto, pressing Makoto quite a bit, that she has quite that control over her power. And unfortunately, it doesn't even last that long, though. He just breaks through like it's nothing, completely shocking the girls. And, well, I'll just leave it with that, as the rest of the process is that they are all defeated at the end of the day, completely exhausted and worn out, with the original students who fought the Blue Lizard thinking that they must have been fighting a dragon, because there's no way that a simple Blue Lizard man could just have done this to them. So they're in shock, and probably next time they meet a Blue Lizard man in the wild, they're going to take extra precautions from the training that they're getting here from him. Now, with that said, with the 3 new students, they're not any better than their seniors. They're just completely wiped out, with the Rembrandt girls trying to comfort each other as they're trying to get over that the fact that they were just destroyed almost. I will just say that. Now, with that said, Makoto tells everybody, like, hey, wrap your reports of why you failed, submit them to me, so we can go over them in the next lesson. And with that, he departs, but not before telling Karen, hey, there's something I need to talk to you about. Let's go ahead and head out. So him and her leave the room as Shiki stays back and comfort the students, telling them that, yeah, it was a harsh lesson, but don't worry. Makoto has great faith in you. He won't give you a lesson that you couldn't overcome. Even though it's a pretty massive obstacle, it seems that Makoto has faith that these students will be able to do well, even if they can't see it at the moment. Now, with Shiki comforting the students, we flip back over to Makoto. Instead of just having a meet outside in the hallway or going back to an office, they go instead all the way outside to have this private conversation, which is a little strange until you hear the reasoning why that Makoto claims that Karen isn't the real Karen Frost. Instead, he thinks that she's a demon, and she immediately pushes back on that, like, hey, not a demon here, I'm the real Karen Frost. And she tries to use a charm on him, but he's like, come on, hornless demon, that's not going to work on me. By the way, what do you want me to call you? And at that, she's just dropping all pretenses, and she's like, first, don't you ever call me a hornless demon ever again. I guess that's very insulting because she looks like she's a hornless demon, but maybe she has horns. And then second, she's like, I'm not going to tell you that because it's not necessary, because now I got to get rid of you. And she turns on to this murderous intent. And for anybody else, I'll be like, okay, yeah, you're screwed. She's going to kill you. But this is Makoto we're talking about. So if she was to go after Makoto, I have a bad feeling that she won't survive very long. Though, thankfully for her, Shiki shows up at the last moment and tells Makoto that her name is Rona, one of the 4 great generals of the demon army. And he has a conversation with Makoto in his head about his past relationship with her, and that it's probably best to keep his whole thing on the down low. And Makoto agrees with that, and he turns back to her, tells her, like, hey, I'm a merchant, I deal with information, and right now I have more information and the numbers over you. Seeing that her predicament is not in her favor, she throws up her hands like, okay, fine, I'm in a bad situation here, but how about we not have this conversation here? Let's go somewhere else. And where do they go? Well, of course, the main places you bring all of your suspected spies and enemies, you bring them to a hotpot. Now, with them all sitting down, they're having a little bit of an issue between Shiki and Rona. Rona is stealing some of Shiki's food, and he's quite protective of this hot pot, so it takes Makoto to come in and settle the situation down before they can continue their conversation. At which point, Rona wants to know more about the Cosmo Company, which he tells her, like, hey, yeah, so we're just the merchants, we're not affiliated with the demons or the humans, we're remaining pretty neutral here, which completely shocks her. Like, are you trying to be an arms dealer, or what's your game? Because most people have chosen a side at this point. And Makoto's like, well, no, we're just us, because I know that some people have gone over to the demon side, so why would it be so hard for you to believe that we're just trying to remain neutral? Which she has to accept, but she's not quite convinced on that. Now, at this point, Makoto's asking, so why are you here investigating our school, with a very discriminatory look aimed right at her that would make anybody uncomfortable. So she feels like, hey, don't send that nasty look at me, I'm not here to fight you. And at that, she pipes up like, she may not be here to fight you, but she will use seductive charms, any other means to get her target. At this, she seems to be a little annoyed that he would reveal her tricks of her trade to Makoto so flippantly. Now, to take the spotlight off of her, she asks Makoto if he plans to stay neutral. Does he want to be an arms dealer in this whole thing? And at this, Makoto's like, no, I just want to be able to keep operating my business without anyone interfering. And she seems to be able to understand it, although she doesn't trust him. And now she wants to have a little bit of a one-on-one alone time with Makoto, which he's completely confused on what she means by that. Thankfully, Shiki is there to give us, the viewer, some information on what she actually is meaning, and he tells her to lay off, because if she thinks that she can lay with him, she will regret it for the rest of her life. Shiki, my man, you just saved that woman's life, because if Tomoe and Mio ever found out that someone got ahead of them, oh dear God, you're dead. I mean, maybe Mio could forgive Hikobi if she got ahead of her, but I don't really know anybody that Tomoe would forgive of jumping in line besides Mio. So I'm just saying right now that if this demon general thought that she could jump the line and get with Makoto before those two, dear Lord, I don't want to be you. She does mention, though, just having those lessons isn't enough for her, so I guess someone even that skill is giving something from the lessons that Makoto is providing her, surprisingly. But he digs a little bit deeper on what exactly she's doing here, and that's when she reveals that she's here for the human experiments, which he then takes this information to his store, where he has a spy from Tomoe, the gentleman by the name of Remy, who we saw in the previous episodes, is now going to help Makoto figure out what's going on with the demi-human disappearances, along with a couple of the orc girls helping him out after the shop is over. Now, with them on the case, Makoto then makes his way with Shiki on his way to visit the Rembrandt sisters because he figured you might as well say hi. I mean, it's the most courteous thing you can do. Also, check up on their health after that battle that they had in the earlier part of the day. Now, as they reach the girls' dormitory, it is amazing. It is the most fanciest place that money can buy. So these girls, although they're not in the luxury home anymore, they're still living in top-notch luxury. Nothing less for the girls of Rembrandt, I guess. Now, as Makoto enters, they're kind of surprised to see him, but he tells them his reason for being there, and they're kind of surprised by his demeanor, although he explains that it's mostly just because of his teacher role that he becomes very strict all of a sudden. With that, the girls accept him in and appreciate it, and they call him Master Kazuma, and then he tells them, like, hey, you can call me teacher or sir, but you can forget this whole master thing. Living your entire life being thankful to somebody, it sounds like a boring way to live. And with that, he gives him his gifts and thank him as he then departs with Shiki in tow. The two then converse about the day's events and the students at the train and the high hopes that he has for them in the future. Which, yeah, I mean, with their abilities, you got a fire mage and earth and protected by spirits. And then you got someone who's proficient in combat, who is good with the bow and lance, supposedly. So as long as they are able to hone those skills even more, yeah, that's a dangerous combo you got going on right there. And not to mention all the other students in his class are also going to be powerhouses in their own right. Now, with their departure down to the shop, we get a cut over to Remy roughing up some thugs in the back alleyway and investigating some of the properties on the campus grounds that don't look that great anymore. And upon his investigation, he steps upon somebody in that warehouse where he drives his blade, leaving us on a cliffhanger of what exactly has happened at this point. Now, I gotta say, I did enjoy this episode probably more so than the other ones just because we got a little bit more of the world building aspect. Apparently, when Makoto uses his gates, we learn within this episode that it also changes the entire atmosphere of the demiplane, so he has to be careful on where he's going to go, but thankfully Tomoe is working on it, so she can give him a list of areas that he can and cannot jump to, otherwise it'll have severe consequences for the rest of the demiplane. So we're finally putting some restrictions on this teleportation device, because otherwise, why really walking, whereas we can just literally teleport? With this system in place, though, we're actually going to get to see Makoto having to travel on foot, or maybe he gets a flying beast of some sort, and he has to fly through the air. Otherwise, he runs the risk of harming the residents of the demiplane, which, hey, I'm all for. Consequences for the use of magic, excellent. I'm a big fan of that. I also liked the little snippet that we got showing that Makoto and Shiki are getting more love letters, although it seems that Shiki's love letters are a little bit thicker than Makoto's. So apparently the female students have really set their eyes on Shiki for some reason. I wonder why. Overall, I gotta say it's a fairly decent episode. Was anything really great about it? I mean, besides the expanding of the world with the Mistgates, Shiki's potential love interest, and along with Makoto, and the Demon General. There wasn't really too much to write home about, so I'm going to put this in probably a solid 7.5, maybe an 8 for this episode. I thought it was good. I don't really think they did anything bad, but there was nothing really that just stood out to me like this is the best episode in the season so far. But overall, I enjoyed it personally. You guys let me know, though, what was your favorite part of this episode? Did you enjoy the Rembrandt sisters showing up? Did you like Makoto's confrontation with the Demon General? Or are you a fan of the more of the world-building aspects that are taking shape now to actually make Makoto's magic use meaningful and impactful? I'm curious to hear what you guys got to say. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.